We are making it work. Here we go. I think it's active. The time stream has connected us once again. We find ourselves in the same place at the same moment on the earth plane. Greetings, everyone. I just had a massive coughing attack earlier, so you guys are going to instantly hear that. Yeah, it has been a lot of fun. It's been a wild journey the past few days, and so roll on in. Greetings. Good to see you all once again. Welcome back to the School of Multi-Dimensional Intuition. Some of you guys are going to notice over the coming weeks, I think we're going to change it over to remember your mission. We're just going to kind of, it's not like there's nothing like a rebranding. It's just, we're kind of just changing it all to kind of one standardized name. And we're taking off the School of Multidimensional Intuition part just as a title for the channel. And it's just going to be remember your mission across the board. However, the School of Multidimensional Intuition still exists within, the classes and the work that we're doing. But I think it's helpful because it kind of simplifies the title. It's a shorter name, and it's literally the URL of our website. So anyway, that's announcement number one. Greetings, everyone. Good to see you. Come on in the room. Hello, Aurora Diamond Heart and Miss White Swan. Good to see you guys. I'm going to start out today with kind of I guess I should probably show the website, but you guys already know what it is. That's Starseed Adventures, where pretty much all of us, a few of the people here, even in this very chat, we're going to be gathering out there December 11th through 16th in Sedona, Arizona. And I want to formally invite anyone that can make it out there once again. Please go to starseedadventures.com. I think you can still get a ticket just to come hang out for around, I believe it's $5.55 right now. And you can also get rooms as well. My hope is that there's going to be an organic growth of just a really cool group of people that turn out for this kind of it's a last minute mission. At least I feel like it's kind of a last minute mission. It's sort of like late in the year. It was kind of announced very suddenly. It just kind of all came together. And so if you can join us, head over to starseedadventures.com. Thank you, Aurora Diamond Heart. Boom, there it is. But yeah, check it out. And please do join us. It will be a good opportunity to see if I'm actually physically real or if I'm a clone. You'll be able to get close enough to see if my earlobes are attached or away from the body, which as I'm sure you all know, that's the one sign to look forward, right? Not necessarily. Although it does kind of seem to be a thing, like the ears attached to the side of the head. That was the big one for Joe Biden, I think, right? I think also for I don't know if some of you guys out there might remember this really fun conspiracy. I think it was like the president. It wasn't Tanzania, but it was one of the African countries. I want to say about 5 or 6 years ago, maybe less than that. There was this organic kind of story that popped up online about how the people in that country had kind of started their own sort of quote unquote conspiracy by saying that they had believed that their president had been switched out with somebody else. And I don't know if it was Ethiopia or, Tanzania or one of those countries. You guys can definitely find it if you do a search. But there actually are a number of photos of the previous version of their president and then the second version of the president, and he definitely had one of those things where he vanished for a few months and he came back and everyone was like, he's different. And I think that was the origin of the people noticing that there was the earlobe thing that would either be attached or not attached. And if you're one of the people that's breezing in the room later and you come in right at this moment and you have no idea what I'm talking about, perfect. Perfect. And so, yeah, you guys can rewind, but it will give you an opportunity to tell if I'm actually a clone or not. However, if I ever suddenly do long hair, like if you guys ever see me switch over to like the long hair look, or if I suddenly change my name to something like, Matthew Melchizedek of the, Pleiadian Brotherhood or something like that, if those two things happen, then you will know with absolute certainty that I have been cloned. And I say that not because there's anything wrong with doing such things, but it's just completely against my character. Literally, it's just nothing that I would. It's just a thing that I would not do. You would definitely know. If I yeah. Anyway, thanks for hanging out, you guys. What's up, Ginger? Good to see you. Headphones aren't working. Oh man, I'm sorry. Cool. Thanks for hanging out though. Here, since your headphones aren't working, we're just gonna let you know. It's all good. Thanks for being with us. Thanks, White Swan. I don't know. You never know. There might be a number of us. What if we all get cloned at many stages during the human journey? I think it's definitely possible. Or maybe there's already, just multiple versions of us that we will be kind of coming into contact with throughout the multidimensional plane that we would perceive sometimes as clones. I mean, I don't know, to be honest with you, but I think it's a fascinating thing. And anyway, before we get too far down a really, really wild road, first off, thank you for hanging out with us in Annora on Saturday. I'm going to be drinking a lot of water, by the way, you guys, because I literally blew out my voice earlier. No joke. Maybe I'll talk about that one. I don't even know if I can, but just really intense energy work has been going on. But yeah, thank you for hanging out with us this past Saturday with Annora. It was a really, it was a powerful and positive session. Thank you to those of you that came by to get readings. We are definitely going to be doing it again this Saturday, which is the other announcement that we're making, which everyone that's watching this will have already known this, but we're going to be gathering over in the Blue Flame Collective Patreon group at 4 p.m. Eastern this Saturday. It's October 22nd. And you can join that meeting for $10. Don't worry, you can quit immediately afterward. You don't have to join our Patreon group for a lifetime. But you definitely, I mean, you could totally stay and hang out. We've noticed that kind of like most people do. Some people kind of just roll in and out. Some people come back and forth. It's been a really interesting thing. And so you can check it out at patreon.com/Blue Flame Collective if anyone wants to come join us. So that's on Saturday. And the people that do come hang out, everybody gets a reading. That's the whole idea. One day, all 50 something people will show up at the same time, and it'll be this mega long. It'll be incredibly long. A lot of people watch on the replay. Strangely enough, I've noticed that more people in the group watch the replay than show up, which is interesting. And so you can show up live, though, and you will definitely get a reading. And so please do so if you want to hang out with us. Thank you. Thanks for that. Thanks for that link there, everybody. That said, I think we're gonna go ahead and do the drawing. And so for those of you guys that recall what we're giving away at this stage, and I think we might do something extra. Part of it is because a lot of people have been wanting to join our group right now, and I've received a lot of more than I ever have with anything we've done, where people are like, I really want to do this and I don't really have the money and I really want to be a part of this. And so I've just decided, we're going to give away a few spots and just give people the opportunity to come hang out. And, anyway, we're going to do a bit of a drawing. And so the first name we're going to pull here today, and a lot of people entered, you guys. At one point when I was going through it, and thank you, White Swan, for helping me. And by the way, with getting those names together, I think there was 20 something on the one list that she sent, and then there was a whole bunch of people that signed up through email. I will say, because I don't know the exact number, there's dozens. I will say that dozens of people, under 100, and I would say I think it's less than 50, but far more than I expected. And so the first thing we're going to be giving away is one of the tickets for the upcoming chakra class. Now, a lot of you guys already know what I'm talking about, but we're going to be meeting starting November 6th. I want people to know what it is that we're giving away and what it is that you're winning, because somebody here is going to win it. Starting November 6th, we're going to be doing a 6-week chakra course in which we're working systematically through the layers of the energy body, understanding what they are, how they work from my perspective, Most importantly, going through processes where we learn how to use our vital energy to open up those non-physical energy centers in the body. For some people, it can lead to great shifts, all kinds of strange healing, expansion in your life, a whole number of things. But what it's designed to do is help people understand how to begin working with non-physical energy, how to feel non-physical energy, and kind of how to begin building a sort of an internal picture and an idea of things that exist within the human body that are literally non-physical, meaning, all of your non-physical anatomy, which for some reason, it's like, I'm not afraid to say it at this point of the journey, that seems to be my specialty, or one of the great specialties that I've been given, at least in terms of a mission, in that it's, for some reason, it's very, I wouldn't say it's easy, but I'm able to find those places and open them up, or at the very least figure out the energetic condition of the non-physical body. And it's kind of as evidenced by a lot of the work that we've done, not that it's all, been exactly as planned, but it's definitely taught us how to work definitively within the non-physical layers. And so anyway, before I go on and on, sorry to rant on and on, everybody, we're gonna do a little bit of a drawing here. What's up, everybody? What's up, Watchers Talk? Good to see you. Thanks for rolling through. Greetings. And so, yes, the first person is going to win a ticket to the chakra class. You can also still sign up for it. There's definitely time. You can go to rememberyourmission.com. And just send me an email. We can work out a way to get you in there. So, so let me show you guys what I have. This little character has been here before. This little sleepy toast guy. He's been a part of the crew in distance for like literally 3 years. And so every drawing I've ever done has been with this little guy. And so I have everybody's names all cut up. They're inside this weird little bag here. I know, I'm just drawing it out. I honestly don't know who's going to win. And a part of that is awesome. And a part of that is also concerning. And so for the chakra class, oh my God, here we go. 3, 2, 1. It is Kelly Dolan. Kelly Dolan. I don't know who Kelly Dolan is. I pray that Kelly Dolan will find this moment in time. I also don't know if Kelly Dolan signed up through the chat or if it was through email. Well, it's probably not through email, or if it was through the comments. But Kelly Dolan, wherever you are out there, boom. Congratulations. Hopefully you'll find this. I hope I have your contact info. If I don't, it's up to you. It will be up to you to find me through this broadcast. Send me an email at rememberyourmission.com. Okay, so now that that's out of the way, honestly, we're going to do 2 of those. So because why not? And so this is for another person. Okay, cool. Thank you, White Swan. YouTube chat entry. I wonder if Kelly Dolan will ever find it. I also have to be real, you guys, because we haven't done an official giveaway, I think, in over a year, but we did one a little bit. Yeah, I think it's a little bit over a year ago. And one of those people, I just never heard from them. So it's totally cool. It's like there's no problem. But I think maybe that's part of the reason why we're gonna do another one here. Okay, here we go. So one other person is going to be joining our chakra class. I don't know who it is. I'm just kind of stirring around this weird bag, creating this false sense of anticipation. Or it's really not false. I think it's just more awkward for me. But here we go. 3, 2, 1. Boom. We have Trevor Ohm. Trevor Ohm. Wherever you are, whoever you are. I have seen Trevor Ohm in the chat. I know that much. Hopefully Trevor Ohm will find this. Okay, so congratulations to you guys who are going to be joining our chakra class. Hopefully they can find us and you'll play back this video. I realized, so we can even say on the little timestamp, winners are announced at about 14 minutes in, at least on my little counter over here. So, okay, cool. So we have 2 winners for the chakra class. And then here's the major one that, like, a part of me is kind of like, really? But then another part of me is like, hell yes, we're actually going to do this. We're also going to give away another pass. I called it a little bit like a scholarship, although it's awkward to say that because we're actively moving away from the title or the moniker of the school. I think it's been overused. I think that literally everyone in the spiritual community has a school or an academy. And honestly, maybe, it's like an Aquarian part of me, but I'm like, to me, that devalues it and it doesn't work anymore. And so I'm just going to go back to our true name and our true title. And that is Remember Your Mission, which, if you want to get technical, it's literally what we're doing. And so along with that, we're going to give away one more spot. This is for someone that's going to get to join us if you choose. Because here's the thing, if you can't make it, it's cool. You can give it to somebody else. You can be like, look, I thought I wanted to go to this guy's class, but I realized I can't come on Sundays, because they're all on Sundays and they're all at usually 4 p.m. Eastern. So that's the time that we're going to be meeting. But the other spot is going to be for all three of the classes. And so the first one starts in November 6th. You guys know that's the chakra class. We just had two of those. We just gave away two of those spots for the chakra class. And the second class is starting, I think it's right around January 1st, and that's the meridians. And so what do I mean when I'm talking about the meridians? Specifically, learning to work with the other layer, or one of many, many non-physical layers in the body. But for me, that has been one of the defining factors of my work in kind of learning how to really clear energy, how to actually create a palpable response energetically. I think that when we learn the meridians, or at least learn the psychosocial qualities, meaning the emotions and the likely thought forms, and just the subtle effects, at least a little bit of them, that they can cause over the body. And you can build yourself a bit of a map over how to access those areas. It gives you a whole, just a complete other different layer of interactivity within the body. And so it's also fun because the meridian class, I have to kind of redo a lot of stuff. We only did it once and it was an awesome one. But when I look back on the content now, I'm like, oh man, oh my God, why was I doing that? Oh my God, why was I not doing that? You know how you'll definitely come to a stage of self-editing. And so that's starting in January. And I want to thank everybody here. You're helping me get my voice back. Just crazy energy work happened earlier, and it was like an literal explosion within the throat with the person that we were working with. We both experienced it. And anyway, I don't want to give away too much of someone's private experience, but for me, it was just very, very intense. And so that does happen. I think when you're learning to work with non-physical energy in the body, and you come into spaces with individuals and people, and it can happen with anyone, when two or more people are gathered, there can be just a conduit of energy that can be like created or opened up, that, I mean, it will shock you. And in some cases it can be a little bit too much. In some cases it can be exactly what one needs. In some cases, like a bubble will pop and it's almost like you have to gag something out of your body. It can be very visceral. And anyway, that said, getting back to the class. So class number 2 is the meridian class, which was coming up. And then number 3 is Return of Multidimensional Tarot, which, if you're watching this channel, you already know, you've already heard all about it. But that's coming back. And I think Multidimensional Tarot starts in late February, and it goes until, that's 5 weeks. And so, that goes until around the end of March. And so we're going to shake this up really good, because this one is kind of a big deal. This is a pretty big deal. And so we're just going to ask Spirit and all those of you guiding our collective human experience that the spots in this class go to just whoever it is that really needs to have this experience, and just for somebody that can just take the most out of it and really expand, and in whatever direction they need to. We just pray that wherever this energy, or to whomever this needs to go. Here we go. I'm like trying to get my hand on just one of them. Okay. 3, 2, 1. Wow. Okay. Valerie Smith, whoever you are out there, we don't know who you are, Valerie Smith, but please do come and join us for the next 3 of our classes, if you would like to. You have won. And so our winners today are Trevor Ohm, Kelly Dolan, and Valerie Smith. Valerie Smith. Very, very cool. Very, very cool. Cool. Thanks, you guys. We're probably going to do other stuff like that probably in the coming weeks. Just so you know, we're going to be doing some more giveaways and just kind of just to have people come and hang out and be a part of this process with us. And so also, if you're one of the people that didn't win, I'm sorry, because I know there was a lot of people, and you do want to join us. You can literally send me an email and we'll work out a way for you to do payments. Also, if you're part of our Patreon group, we're going to give everybody like a little discount as well. So, because I know for a lot of people right now, let's just be real. I know that for a lot of us, like, dude, like the economy is really weird. It's really hard. There's a lot of stuff that people were doing last year or the year before that now we're like, whoa, how can I possibly go there or do that? And we're seeing it all, like in a number of ways. So don't worry, but feel free. Please do get a hold of me if you want to join us as well. For people that are in the upper tier of the Patreon group, we're going to be doing a number of Sundays within that class. That's starting, I think, on November 13th. In the upper tier of the Patreon group, we're starting to kind of bring in, I call it the Energy Body Intensive. Boom, there's Valerie Smith. What's going on? You made it. Congratulations. Please do send me an email if you can at my website, rememberyourmission.com, Valerie Smith, because I think you entered through the chat. And so send me a message. Just scroll down to the bottom of the website and send me a message and say, hey, it's me. And yeah, you can come and hang out with us in 3 classes. And if you can't make it, you can give it away to someone else. Because honestly, the reality is, you guys, I gotta be real. It's a lot of time. It's like, I know that, sorry, I want to call you by your regular name. Aurora Diamond Heart and also White Swan have been in some of those as well. And for better or worse, it's a lot of time. And so don't worry if you can't make it, but we would love to have you come join us. And so send me an email. And also to Kelly Dolan and Trevor and so cool. Thanks, you guys. That definitely worked out. Probably, I think within, I think, 3 weeks, we're probably going to do another one. We're going to do a giveaway for a private session with myself, and then I think we're going to do a private session with Annora. Although I still have to get her agreements on if that is if that's going to happen. Anyway, cool. Thank you. Oh, cool. Thank you. I have authorization to use our real names, but cool. And thanks for hanging out with us, Leyland. Good to see you around these parts. And so I guess with that, that's kind of really like the only real business that we have here today. It's probably going to be a lot shorter stream, but before we go, please do let me know if you guys have any questions. If there's been anything going on in your world. There's been lots of fun, weird drama within, like the secret space program, social media realm, which is a whole other matter that we're not necessarily going to get into here. But before we do go, I do want to talk about like what kind of energy centers or what channels would you want to work with, or at the very least learn more about, so that you could increase your levels of conscious discernment. By conscious discernment, what I mean is your ability to understand what is true from what is not true, what is aligned, what is good for you, what is not, your ability to discern fact from fiction, truth from falsehood. You know what I mean? Everyone comes to that understanding of how to do that in their own way. What we could say is that the frequency of truth, which is a literal thing, we have all felt it. When your body acknowledges that something is a certain way or something is being presented to you, like the body responds. We feel the resonance. That's one of the reasons why we use that term. Everybody knows that. And so the frequency of truth, I think, is kind of very much a living thing that we all come to understand in our own way. And so my truth will be very different from another person's truth. Just like, I know a lot of you guys have noticed with your friends and family over the past couple of years, and even now, it's like you will be living in a completely different version of reality from, say, the person next to you in line. If you even shop places in person anymore, I know a lot of people don't, but if you do, you know what I mean? It's like you will literally be in another version of reality, sometimes from your family members or your partners, or whatever it is, or yeah, like people on social media, whatever it is. And so we come to understand what's true for us, as we all know, in our own individual ways. And so you can't really define that for another person as well. Part of there's also part of our collective experience where we all, agree upon the existence of certain things, and we come to the understanding of kind of like universal truths, which show up in many different ways. But the thing is, we do have the ability to kind of enhance or to clear out the slate within your non-physical body so that you can get a more accurate readout of, is this even true or is it not true? I guess from the most basic perspective, if we were going to work within the chakra body, let's say if I was going to work, with that within myself or within another person, and like a lot of you guys that are watching this, you're going to already know this if you're familiar with chakra work, or like a number of modalities. A lot of people would go directly to the solar plexus chakra, which is a wonder, because oftentimes I've noticed that in a lot of the energy clearings I've been doing lately with people, it's not that we would bypass the solar plexus at all. It's definitely not a thing you would bypass, but it is an area where you will work around it at times. And I've been noticing lately with the people that I've been working with, we tend to be working more within the organ system, with like the spleen on the left and the liver on the right, and even within the intestines and the gallbladder, more within the organ systems. But when it comes to at least clearing resonance or understanding resonance, or kind of almost like, really, really clearing off the countertop. And a lot of you guys are going to get this kind of weird metaphor I'm trying to give you, but I don't know if some of you guys have ever walked in your kitchen or in your, in some room in your house, and you look at the table or you look at the counter and it looks clean, but then you see the light kind of like reflect off it in a little bit of a weird way. And you notice there's like all this residue, or there's like all, maybe it's crumbs or whatever, and I know that's kind of a cheesy kind of like visual representation of it, but it is very much an energy center that will gather residues and buildup of energies that we have experienced, things that have affected how we have reacted to what we have resonated with or resonated against, the times when we did not react to those internal cues or those clues, what those things do. And, along with a number of other things, toxins in the body, things within our diet, all sorts of things will cause places, specific areas like solar plexus. And there's other places where that happens. If you guys want to know, we can get to other places where I have found, I think, a lot of residue in the energy body, but solar plexus is definitely one of the big ones. And so we work with solar plexus to improve how you perceive resonance. It doesn't necessarily mean how you perceive truth, but how you perceive resonance, how you might agree with something, because we could also agree with something that is fundamentally untrue. You know what I mean? But when it comes to the energy of agreeance and resonance, we would say the solar plexus plays a really big role. And so a lot of you guys have heard this before, but there is a generalized tone, or kind of like a sound that we will use with the solar plexus. It's not a capsule phrase. It's well known. It's wrong, like wrong, RANG, like wrong, or RAM, RAM is another way to do it. I tend to use the NG kind of ending because I think it creates almost like a little bit of a different effect within the energy body, more like would it be a concave sort of frequency? Rather, I think ROM, when you use the M, at least by my analysis, seems to create more of an outward, like ROM or wrong. And so for me, it's just very important to be specific in terms of how, when I'm calling out to certain chakras or energy centers, it's like I will be conscious over at kind of like the angle at which I'm trying to approach it. And some of you guys will notice as I'm trying to describe that, I get very tongue-tied at times. But anyway, so working with solar plexus energy will dramatically improve just how you perceive resonance. Oh yeah, there we go. He's got it too. There you go. I have read this. Thank you, Omar. Totally. Tom, Tam, absolutely. I have read that. Thank you. Definitely. And so here's another place, because one of the things that I have that I think makes some of the work that we're going to be doing in these classes, I'm not going to say it's different, because honestly, you guys, I know for a fact that there are a million other people on the earth plane that are working in a very similar way. It's not that it's different, but I think one of the things that makes it effective, one of the things that I think makes it effective is that when working with chakras, we are working in tandem with the meridian structures and the areas on the body that connect with the chakra body and the meridian body together, and also the organs. And so anyway, another place that we would be working with at the same time would be your triple warmer meridian, triple heater meridian. Some people call it Sanjiao. If you want to get technical, you'll see some people call it that. But I call it the triple warmer. But I have noticed the triple warmer interacts with the energy body, and when it's blocked up, when it's full of emotion, it creates gaps or lapses in judgment, or in the way that we perceive energies, meaning like kind of like what we allow into our energy field and what we choose to block within our energy field. And when you learn to kind of harmonize it, and there is no capsule phrase, I would say, necessarily for the triple warmer, but what we do is kind of resonate and move a frequency along the pathway. And so one of the things you can also do, for those of you guys that want to also go to the next level of improving discernment and just learning, what you resonate with and what's true for you and all that, learn to work with triple warmer. I'll give you a few clues or things that help me when I'm in sessions and I'm like connecting with people's energy body. I will work with both the kind of like the upper end and the lower end of a meridian structure in the body. And so if you want to connect with your triple warmer, I usually start with the ring finger, and kind of energetically within my mind, or physically, if anyone wants to do it here, you'll just kind of like connect with that. Not that that always is going to create effect, but usually as we're moving energy and kind of centering the body, well, you'll connect with an area. And what I like to do is have people kind of soften it up. It's almost like you'll sort of work the opening, and you can imagine it's like kind of opening up the gateway. And so the ring finger on both hands you can work with. And then the other place you'll go to, or the place that I go to when we're doing energy clearings, is right here, right around the outer edge of your eye, like right here, just within this region. If you want to get technical, triple warmers like right up in there. But what I'll do is you'll just start palpating or working with, or even stretching. And I think we have done this on other lives, or maybe in the Patreon group. But it's like you'll just kind of grab and connect with that physically if you want to, but you'll just kind of create like almost a spiral of energy right there. And so what we're doing is we're connecting with your triple warmer. And so what you can do after that, just like you would do with the solar plexus chakra, or how some people would do wrong, when you want to clear the triple warmer, there's no specific sound that you will take or use. That's the scalar tone that we talk about. When I talk about scalar toning, or our natural human ability to create this literal scalar wave frequency, we do it through the voice. And so you'll kind of soften up both areas, or just kind of place your consciousness there when you're in the session or when you're working with yourself. It works really good with kids, like little kids as well. Oh man, really, really well. Especially kids under the age, I would say under age 6. It can be incredible because they're still living in the world of pure magic. Like they're still within that stage in their life. And so it can work really, really well with kids that are having a hard time. But you can literally just, and this doesn't show up usually, but I'm going to do it here. From there, you'll just create a tone. It's just a little tone that you'll do. You can hold it as long as you want. It can be a very short one. You'll find that as you practice it, that your body will sort of give you clues and sort of wavelengths, and you'll notice that it will change within yourself. And it's actual a living frequency, that what we're doing is we're like connecting with a sentient living frequency and allowing your body to be the vessel, allowing the voice to be the carrier wave of that thing. And what we find is, this is why it's a scalar wave frequency, is that it's able to penetrate through, literally any space and time. And I know that's majorly, it's such a big claim, dude, space and time. But a lot of people believe that that scalar wave force, that I think was first noticed by a man named, was it William Maxwell or something like that. I used to know his names. It was like William Hart Maxwell or something along that way. As first observed, not invented, observed, they realized that it had the ability to literally carry itself all the way around the world within, mere seconds or something. And I might be misquoting it. I know there's a number of people that are going to know a lot more about the origins of where we understood, scalar wave frequency coming from. You're going to be able to instantly correct me, but we have the ability to create it with the human body, literal ability to create it. So when we let that tone out, that's us connecting, in this case, with where your intention lay within the triple warmer. And so another thing you guys can do is just do like Google or whatever image search engine you choose. Probably not Google at this point, although it doesn't really matter, does it? I mean, it's like, is the internet not already a living AI that we're just interacting with and teaching how to be human? It's almost, in my opinion, like it doesn't matter which search engine you use. You know what I mean? But anyway, look up the excuse me, look up the triple warmer. And what you'll find is this squiggly line that starts around right here, and it kind of goes over your ear a little bit and kind of zigzags on your head. And I think it connects down through your shoulder blade and kind of works its way along your arm, and eventually ends up right here at the tip, or right around the end of the ring finger. And so very important for just discernment and clarity, and a number of other kind of physical and non-physical functions in the body. It's a really fun one when you want to start looking up other meridians. It's a fun one because it doesn't really correspond with like organs, really. It corresponds with these kind of reservoirs of energy in the body that I guess they call them like the burners, but you have a lower burner, a middle burner, and an upper burner. And I think one of the reasons that I've seen when we're clearing energy in people's bodies, one of the reasons that I've seen why some people aren't able to maintain a state of kind of internal clarity, or they have a hard time staying really, really grounded, right? You just have a hard time staying grounded. And maybe it's also your discernment as well. But you could even have, just like thermal regulation problems and have a hard time with circulation. And, there's a number of things that it does within the body. But I think one of the reasons why people don't necessarily get clear sometimes after energy work is because you can work with the chakra body, but there's like these whole other layers and templates of energy. And I've noticed that when you want to create grounding and security in the body, and you can balance out, at least to the best of your ability, because I think it's different for every person that we do a clearing with. It's a different like level of balance and a different, if you want to call it, proportions of energy in the body. Everyone's totally individual. As soon as you try to make a conclusion, like literally spirit will show up and it'll be the exception to the thing you thought was a rule, and you're like, oh, okay. And so, but what I've noticed when we work with places like Triple Warmer, and another place, which I'll just mention it, not necessarily for discernment, although it could affect that, places like Triple Warmer and the bladder, or some people say urinary bladder meridian. That's another one for creating a return to calm, a grounded sense, release of primal fear, letting go of trapped trauma in the body, balancing out elemental energies, all sorts of stuff. So yeah, bladder meridian. Anyway, there was one other channel I was going to mention on the subject of developing discernment and awareness in the body. And some of you guys know I'll do this, but I will literally forget it, and I have to like sit there and find it, come back. But anyway, we're gonna give it a chance to come back. Thanks for hanging out, everybody. It's a non-traditional time to be doing a live stream right now. It was supposed to be at 3 o'clock today, I was planning to do it at 3 o'clock Eastern, but there's just a number of things take place. We ended up doing some sessions. It was a really good day. One of those days that reminds you that you have a purpose and that there is a literal thing that you do that is real. Because sometimes when you work in the energetic realms, there's going to be many stages when you question and ask, why, or what am I doing, or does this even matter? And then every now and then people will come in and it's like you will experience something that is so real that it leaves no doubt in anyone's mind. And it's not that it's a thing that you create, it's a thing that you get to be a part of and experience with other people. Definitely. It is not a thing that we are responsible for creating. It's something that we are experiencing with another person. And so it really is. It's like that magic of two or more. When two or more are gathered, amazing, amazing things happen. But yeah, thank you for your comments, by the way. Thank you, Leyland. It would be helpful if you covered extrasensory spatial awareness and the specific tactile feelings to observe, how to feel your subtle energy bodies expand and interact within the multi-dimensional space. Whoa, that's actually that's really good. That's a very good question. Um, I wish that I had an immediate answer. Like a lot of times I can pull out an immediate response to a lot of those. I agree. I think it would, I would say in terms of maybe generating awareness of the energy field around the body, which is a thing that you will definitely be able to perceive on a greater level. There was a few times, I think in around like 2015, when I was literally losing my mind. There was a number of days when I would go to the gym and kind of work out and really just kind of walk on a treadmill in a weird brain fog and like, zone out and like dissociate. That's what I mean by workout. It wasn't like I was in there like, like pumping iron and like all kinds of, you know what I mean? I was more in like a dissociative state. But there was a number of stages where it was like I was able to somehow be outside of my body, not realizing that I was outside of it. And I was able to see in a 360-degree view from, I would maybe, if I wanted to call it, maybe just a little bit above my head. But it's not like I would see myself. I wasn't seeing me. I would see like every single thing around me, which was very, very strange. And so I would like to think that maybe that applies to your comment about understanding that extra spatial awareness. I think at that stage of my life, it was more of a thing that freaked me out, and I just didn't know who to talk to or what to do about it, and I just would observe it and go like, "Holy shit, what?" And it was an interesting thing. I honestly wish that I could, instantly snap into that state now, because I think for a lot of us, we'll go through, like the Kundalini awakening journey, and you will be at stages during that process of like consciousness that for a lot of us are not necessarily meant to persist. It's like all of those systems will reignite within the human body, and for a time, certain lights will be on all the time, and it's like almost as if you will get to experience things that the human body is capable of doing. And then you go through this integration process and you kind of come back down, and hopefully you come back down into, a more expanded, healed, more, consciously aware version of yourself rather than a chaotic version of yourself. But some people come back down into a very chaotic version of themselves, and they go, it just gets really weird. We've seen a number of versions of that, but I would say in terms of generating that awareness, though, for all of us, myself included, that are just living on a daily basis, I do tend to notice like when there are things around me or something approaching me in the physical world that I do not see. It's just a thing that I notice a lot. There's a lot of things that I will perceive within the third eye. Like I think currently at our house here in Florida, I think we have had a non-physical visitor for the last couple of days, because both me and my wife have independently perceived what looked like the shape and the outline of like a little girl that has been hanging out around here, which is interesting that I would even be able to observe such a thing, because I don't always observe such a thing, but both of us had noticed it. And I think you'll notice at many stages of the journey that presences or beings or energies will sort of be attracted to places where a lot of spiritual energy or spirit, we could maybe even call them spiritual transactions, will be taking place. And so, they will come around here from time to time, and they're around everywhere anyway. But I would say the ways that you can enhance that for yourself from a physical perspective, and these are cheap answers, so get ready. You're going to be like, I know you already told me, but well, definitely qigong, number one most useful tool out of them all. If you want to begin to feel subtle energy or develop your ability to feel it, because qigong's a developmental process that you'll do like every day. That's the number one thing. But I think along with it, learning to stay within a state of total silence was it still is for me, and it's a thing that I haven't been doing as much for like a while. And I would say over the past few weeks, I've been making a point to like be in complete silence for a period of time during the day, because I will do a lot of meditation or a lot of, connecting internally with people. And I've noticed that a lot of the stuff that I'll do in my own life, I tend to, listen to sounds or something inside it. And I not actively or consciously avoid the silent space, but, I'll have some form of a rhythm or like a song playing or something, you know what I mean? And so I think coming into a place of dedicated silence where you just allow yourself to come to the stage of your internal journey where you feel everything and all of your thoughts turn on and all of your feelings and your mind wanders and just everything turns on, and it almost feels in that stage like you're losing yourself, or it's like your mind just goes crazy. Learn to sit with that state and breathe with it. And a lot of like a lot of us know that, that's where we start to do things like, center and come within. And like, I even see your comments there. We start to leave the body. Um, excuse me. But I think learning to generate silence within the internal self is sort of like an untapped reservoir for most of us that wonder, how can I begin to learn to feel this or that? It's like coming to the true silence within yourself. And then it's like you will realize that within that space, you will begin to perceive, the individual emotions around you. You will begin to perceive, the physical parts of the body. That's why things like Vipassana meditation is very helpful in coming into, or just any processes that create conscious awareness of where emotions and energies lay within the physical body, or learning how to maybe even dissociate from the emotions and energies that are within the physical body. I know that sounds like a big long run of all kinds of info, but I think if you're able to kind of, grab what you can from that, you'll find that, at least for me, if you can practice such things for at least a month, like give it like an actual dedicated period of time where you're like, okay, I'm actually going to sit with this thing and just do it. That's usually where certain things will happen. And it's almost like you have to give spirit this gesture of willingness and say, okay, you guys, I'm willing to show up and do this. I'm going to keep trying it. And then anyway, I don't know. Do you know what, Leyland? That probably doesn't answer your question. I probably just ranted on it in an indirect way, but I can feel when my awareness is bilocated and is in two places or states at once. Involuntary being multidimensional aware. Oh, very much so. Yeah, you're going to be aware of other timelines. You're going to be aware of other versions of yourself. Excuse me. You will probably even be aware of even, it's like other conversations that will be happening as you're having an exchange with a person, or it's like you're going to be viewing this version of you and that person right now, almost like this right now, me and everyone that's watching this, and Leyland. It's like we're having one version of a conversation, and then you will begin to perceive all of the other versions of this conversation that are taking place at the exact same time. And anyway, if we continue down that road, but some of you guys will get the mental picture that was sent out there. But anyway, I feel you becoming aware of the multidimensional selves. And you probably also meant something completely different. And I took it and I just went on a whole other direction. But maybe that's kind of what we do. Maybe that's what we do. What's up, Dawn Vibrations? I do subtle body meditations. I can't do them right now with this difficult energy right now. It is difficult. I feel you. It's very severe. There's an energy that's available right now that I think is going to be hanging out with us up until there's like an eclipse, I think, in a few days or something, or maybe next week. I can't remember when it is. I used to be very on top of such dates, but it's like a little bit of a ramp up. Everyone's gonna go. You're gonna go like this, and then right around this eclipse, is it 23rd, 25th? I don't know. Somebody out there knows. Somebody on this live stream knows. Then after that, there's sort of like a pop. And for people who are consciously aware, those that are consciously aware of this, you can use that energy to go to another stage of your journey, another timeline. You're going to notice that there's themes right now, you guys, things that were around like 2 or 3 years ago, and they're going to be back in your life. It's going to come back. You're going to notice, like, what? That old thing's back, that old tale, that old story. It's going to be happening for literally everyone. You'll also see it playing out in a public way with other people. What's weird is I can literally think of an example right now, but I don't want to dirty the streams of energy by describing it. But you're going to see the resolution or the sort of directional shift of certain things. Always usually around things like eclipses. I know there's a number of other ones. I'm actually not that good with talking about astrological dates and alignments. People that know me will know that they're like, oh no. But anyway, the eclipse is going to create what is literally a portal that for people that are mindful and using their energy, you can go through it into another stage of your journey. And so anyway, that's in response to I feel you on the difficult energy. Yeah, eclipse and Aries moon really caused me a lot of anxiousness. It definitely feels like it will. You're not alone in that. I definitely feel you, especially if you found your way to this weird live stream down here in the multi-dimensional trailer park. There's been a lot less drooling here today, but a lot more like weird dry mouth. Anyway, thanks for hanging out, you guys. Let me know if you have any other questions. We're not going to be here too long. I will definitely run out of things to say, and it's rare that I don't have much of a voice, but it's good to see you guys. Thanks for being here. Thank you, Purple Door. I received your message as well. Thank you very, very sincerely. I often think that my dog can sense energetic visitors in our home. Oh man, I absolutely 100% agree with you. I believe that especially dogs, they have like the layer removed over their consciousness that allows them to be in full view of like spirit realm things, and like if you want to call them ghosts, and a number of non-physical energies, even streams of energy, which is I think one of the reasons why just innately like the canine consciousness is so good at following the scent or a stream of energy, literally a stream of energy available to the sensory system that allows them to, I mean, it's remarkable. And so I think, yes, absolutely. Your dog is going to be seeing, like, if a ghost literally walks in your house, and granted, they're all over the place. It's not like it's that big of a deal. But if a real profound energy walks in, your dogs are going to know it. They're going to know instantly. Cats will also notice. And I've had lots of both cats and dogs. The thing that trips me out about cats, and I know everyone's observed this, we all see it, it's in a million memes. Cats will view the same thing and they don't care, and they will have they're just like, they won't even respond to it, or they respond to very, very different spiritual stimulus than dogs do. And I say that as an observation, not because I don't necessarily know that I'm one of those people that does a lot of animal communication. Although, if you're wondering what's a way that you can really help develop your telepathic abilities, animals are so receptive. They absolutely are. They're completely and utterly telepathic. It's just that what I've observed is their manner of telepathy does not come through words. It does not come through a conversational energy. It comes through images. It comes through feelings. It comes through the sending of almost like symbols and experiences that will come, that I think they bounce back and forth between each other. I don't even know that at their stage of consciousness that they're necessarily aware that's what they're doing. It's just their innate kind of it's just like that animal sensibility that they have, that they will communicate on a telepathic level. I have noticed a number of animals in this life have literally sent me feelings, or there has been an actual exchange. And when I look at what the energy that it was literally like an image or a feeling that they were sending, or that even I was sending them, And so anyway, I feel like I'm ranting endlessly about that. But yeah, totally. Our dogs are gonna know. Our dogs are gonna know. What's up, Grace Aquarius? Well, I was putting your comment up. They're just cruising around the streams. Oh, thank you. Thank you. That's sweet. I appreciate you. I definitely appreciate you. Annora did very, very well on Saturday. That was her sort of like a debut, and at least within the public sense. A lot of you guys already know this. But yeah, it was she's actually gonna come back and do another live stream probably in the coming weeks. And so yeah, thanks everybody. Thanks for hanging out with us on Saturday. Good afternoon from Northern California. I still love California. It is still completely insane. I don't know when or if we will move back there, but I'm definitely not a California hater or a Los Angeles hater. Because I would definitely go back. If it was not insane, I would definitely go back. Oh wow. Thanks for letting us know. Best friend of 15 years as she started her transition process with heart failure. Man, I feel you, White Swan. I think one of the things I don't know, maybe I can say this publicly because you've been around here now for so long, Liz. I believe you are one of those people who probably has a great gift at helping people transition and pass through that gateway from this world into the next one. Just because, what we know, in between you and I, just about your own spiritual journey. And I know you've talked a bit about some of that publicly, not to blow you up, but it stands to reason that you would be one of those people that is very well suited for assisting or working with people that are having that transition. And anyway, I hope that made sense. I'm articulating it in a super awkward way, but totally. Thanks, you guys. Thanks for hanging out. Cool. Thank you, Christian Lent. Thank you for being here. I mean that sincerely. Oh, Belinda S. Let's talk teeth. Yeah, we should. I have very, very crooked teeth. It's one of those things that I have come to just be accepting of. Like in my life, I was one of those kids that didn't get any like dental work until like age 23 or something. Although I did have braces for a short time in my life, and I actually physically extracted them from my body. We had some turbulent stages in our early days, but yeah, no, definitely it will tell you so much. Definitely linked with meridians within the body and the balance of how organ systems play out and just how they interact. Man, because I have had a lot of dental problems through the years, and it's definitely still there. While it's 100 times better than it's ever been, yeah, they hold a lot of memories. Thank you for that comment. I appreciate you. Thanks for being here. That's rad. Thank you. Boom. We're just kind of rolling through. I have conversations with it, but only because it's energy I'm reading and turning into the words that I relate energy with. Aurora, I have a feeling you're talking about maybe animals there. Oh yeah, there you go. I see your other comment. There we go. I see it. But anyway, totally. Thank you for hanging out. Let me go if you guys have any other questions. Makes sense, like death doula. Maybe it is. That's not a creepy thing at all. Some people will hear that and they'll be like, "What? What? I don't know." Honestly, that is one of the greatest and highest honors that you can possibly have in this physical life. To be a person that helps another one cross over, to be one of the last hands and one of the last energies that they meet on their way out the door. That is like a honor that many, many people in this physical life can absolutely not handle or match up to. I mean that very, very sincerely. There are people who actually take you through the death process, and they systematically deactivate your chakras as well, and actually assist in making that happen. And you'll find that those people very, very rarely ever talk about what they do publicly, because it's something that's deeply sacred, and it's also deeply misunderstood. It's really, really easy to kind of distort one's understanding of how that process works. And the wild thing is, none of us know how it works until we all truly go through it ourselves. And so everyone here is just kind of standing on the edge of something, observing it and kind of watching others go through a certain thing. And, yeah, sure, some of us will have, you know, near death experiences. I definitely have had absolute, what I believe to be an actual death experience. I acknowledge that I died within the very moment. I knew it. I acknowledge that many other people died with me, and I knew it. And anyway, one day we'll go more into detail on that. Rest assured, yet here we are, yet here we are. And not necessarily through a trauma experience either, but anyway, I think teeth are crystals. Totally. They probably are. They totally are. They definitely hold a very particular type of resonance. What's up, Married Bird Song? Good to see you. Yeah, there's a stage probably where I'll probably have, one day I'll show up on a live stream and I'll have this weird set of perfect teeth, and you guys will be like, "Oh my God, Matthew got cloned." Um, Although no, that probably wouldn't be a sign of cloning. That would just mean that I got dental insurance finally, and so, although you never know, it'll happen. I think it's cool to talk about the aging process. Thank you for being here, everybody. We're all going through it in a weird way, systematic. What is it? The systematic degradation of the human vessel over the course of this life cycle. Something we all observe and actively take part in. Which sounds morbid, but it's not. It's literally, it's like, welcome to life on Earth, right? Boom. What's up, Mason Strunk? Just got a TikTok advertising eggshell powder. Whoa, eggshell powdered toothpaste. Nice. Eggshell powdered toothpaste. I wonder what that is. That's probably part of that Chinese algorithm. And I say this with respect. That's part of the Chinese algorithm that they talk about. Where here, and I don't know, I'm incorrectly assuming that you're in the U.S., Mason. Wherever you are, they have their own algorithm for whatever your target population is, and so anyway, it's been an interesting thing. I know a lot of you guys have already heard about that, like the sort of algorithms that TikTok has for even, I think, all the way down to the neighborhoods that you've been observed as like living in, and like the social content of that. And then the algorithm bounces back to you the most extreme versions of whatever that is in your area. It's one of the things that they think keeps people in a weird internal trauma cycle of like excitation, and then like like the up and down internal wave of like dopamine and lack of dopamine that we get from the social media experience. But yeah, there's, anyway, not to go on and on about it, but totally. Biden's bottom teeth change. They probably do. They probably do change. Absolutely. Boom, rocking nice. You know what? Honestly, that I think that's a very cool thing, Married Bird Song. That's a stage of the journey where like you can be whatever it is you truly are, and no one can do anything about it. I think I'm sort of in a version of that within the male perspective. I guess in the world of tarot, we would call it the Emperor stage, where for better or worse, you're taking full ownership of everything you are in the physical realm. And sometimes it's for better, and sometimes it's for worse, but you don't get to repeat processes. You have to reinvent or become something new or create a different version of yourself. And it's definitely a thing. It's definitely a thing. Boom, at 63, radical changes. You know what you can do, Libby? I know you've already heard me say this if you've hung out on any of these live streams. You've already heard this, and I mean this very sincerely, because I know for a fact that it creates a reverse aging process in your body, and it begins to lengthen and I think strengthen or do something to the integrity of the telomeres. But it's Qigong once again for the 100th time, on the 1,000th time on this channel. If you do Qigong every day, you will start to reverse age yourself. It's a literal fact. It's a living, literal human fact. If you do Qigong, you will reverse age. It's not like you're going to go back to your 30s, definitely. But it's like you will notice, if you devote yourself to it, you will begin to regenerate things about your body and your mind and spirit that would have, that you're like, wow, I didn't even know I could feel that anymore. And it's like, yo, yeah, you can, totally. It reactivates those pathways. That's why there's people in China that are, living honestly for real, you guys, like up to I think over 200 years old already. And it's because they continually regenerate the vital energy in the body. It becomes this fact of life, and so they just keep doing it. Yep, you got it. Thank you, Chiro Sounds. It's definitely there. Thanks for hanging out. Perhaps those replicators will grow all new teeth along with missing limbs and organs. I wonder. I have been famously critical on an inflammatory level of the sort of medbed, timeline. Not that that's even what you're talking about. I actually took it there, so I'm not saying you're insinuating that. I have been famously critical of the idea that that will take place, and I think that's because I know that we have all of the technology needed right now to create literally the exact same things. And it's not even that it's being held away from us, which, well, let's be real, a lot of it is, right? I mean, it's being withheld by the powers that be. But it comes from the human spirit. It comes from learning how to work with things like, your like the chakras and the meridians and the balance of energies in the organs and the purification of the human energy system. And anyway, watch out. I'll go on a whole rant with that. I don't want to turn it into a lecture because a lot of you guys know, and a lot of you guys know already. But yeah. Anyway, thanks for hanging out. Purple Door says, I appreciate the death doula that helped my mother with her passing. I was thankful for her assistance. That's very cool. I'm glad you guys got to have that experience. Yeah. Thank you for hanging out. There you go. So you already know. There you go. You've been doing okay. Good. That's a very cool sign. Thanks, Libby. You already know. So you know exactly what's going on. You will definitely know the strange magic that can occur when we devote ourselves to that. Another thing you can do for people that um, for people that can afford to get one, which is honestly more people than you think, you can also get a Rife machine. And you guys will see these little devices always. Some people have emailed me asking what they are in the background. It's a number of Spooky 2 Rife generators that we used within our training group for the past year. I think a little over a year, I guess, maybe. I'm not sure, but it's also one of the services that we do within the work that me and Annora do. We have a thing called the spirit detox process, where you can send in your DNA and we'll put you on remote Rife treatments. It's for about a month, but I think the real way that we're going to do spirit detox in the future is make it a 2-month process, where essentially what you do in the spirit detox process is you will do 4 sessions. The way we did it last year was that people do 4 sessions in the month. So it's one every single week. And at the same time, you're also getting Rife treatment. And at the same time, hopefully, and this is one part that you have to facilitate on your own, but you will also be doing a detox at home. And the idea is it gives people like this period of increased support as they go through like a purification ritual in their life. And so we call it spirit detox. It's still on the website. It's still available. We had a couple people do it earlier this year. Right now, I think it's just like a weird dead spot for everybody, but it's definitely there for anyone that wants to take advantage of it. But it's one way you can experience remote Rife treatments. Which, here's the thing, I got to be also real. They're definitely different from if you can afford to go get a Rife machine yourself. And when I say afford, for some people it's a lot of money, but you can buy one of the little units behind me, those little blue boxes. I think it's under $300, and you will need a Windows PC to connect with it. But that alone, just even one of those, can start transmitting frequencies and create great change. But they also have a couple other units, and trust me, this is not an advertisement for Spooky 2 Rife. It really isn't. I'm just being real. They also have another unit called a Generator X, which is the one that I've taken to conferences, that I've used with people. Some of the people here, I think maybe even, I don't know. I see Alexis in the chat. She was rolling through. I don't know if Alexis got a treatment, but I know that Jace definitely did. Jace got a Rife treatment when we were at the SSP conference, and so It's a very different experience when you have it plugged into you. You feel a lot more of the energy, and depending on what you're working with or trying to change, you can also do too much of certain things. You can definitely, it is an energy source that you can overdo. Not that it will necessarily cause great illness, but I would say it could excuse me, it could potentially cause some discomfort or imbalance within the body, because they're remarkably powerful devices. But yeah, stone vibrations, spooky too, definitely. um Spooky 2 Rife. So I mean, I'll say their website. Spooky, I believe it's Spooky 2 Mall, Spooky 2 Mall, MALL.com, or I think you can just go to spooky2rife.com. But I have noticed that they're the cheapest ones that I've seen, because I looked at I think we looked at a couple other companies. One of them was like $4,000, which was wild. But you can get the Generator X, I think, from them. I don't know. I think it's might be more expensive now than it was when we bought it, but I think it was in between $600 and $700. Which, like I said, for some people it's a lot of money. It's a lot of money for me right now, but 2 years ago, when they were handing out all these like stimuluses, it was like, oh really? Okay, I'll just buy that thing over there. And so I'm grateful that I was able to get it at a stage when we could definitely afford it on a greater level, because I think that is one of the drawbacks. It is a thing that some people have to put out money for, and I think sometimes when you're really sick, that's the hardest thing to come upon. But yeah, if you can get a hold of one, you have the potential to, I mean, dramatically alter just the groundedness, the health, the vitality in your body. You can reset your endocrine system. What I mean by that is you can literally reset how your body responds to hormonal activity. And you can do it in a good way and also a bad way. Trust me. You can also, you can mess yourself up with it. But anyway, it's a remarkable thing. And I often wonder how, maybe I shouldn't even say this. I often wonder how they're available. Why, you know what I mean? Because you hear about all this other stuff, but somehow, you can still use a frequency generator and literally just put a couple pads on your body. And those little tens pads, you won't put them on your chest per se, but you'll put them on other places, and just broadcast a frequency into the body that, it's just, anyway, that was kind of in response to me going on a rant about the timeline of med beds, and if they're showing up, because I think one of the things that we're going to see as medical technology continues to expand is that there are literally there's going to be med beds. They're totally real. It'll take a while till it comes out. It's going to be a while. But one of the foundational elements of why the holographic regeneration process works will be shown historically to be based in part in the technology that is present within the Rife systems. And I don't mean spooky, I mean the Rife frequency, technology. The idea that we will play this or this invisible wavelength of energy broadcasted into the human body, and the human body begins to regenerate. I think that as those roll out, we're going to notice that that's one of the fundamental elements of it. It's like multi-dimensional Rife system. But anyway. Anyway, thank you. Boom. Thanks, Leyland. Always look like guitar foot pedals to me. You know what's wild is on the other side of the room, there's a little guitar, although I haven't hardly played it at all. Truth be told, I have not really played it, hardly at all. But that used to be all I did was guitar. And so it's interesting. Thank you for that observation. Libby says, in the early 2000s, I was part of EMC2 with my photo on the tray. Stephen Lewis, in his book Sanctuary, Pathway to Consciousness, removes all negative frequencies and more. Here's the thing. I don't actually know what that's about, but it feels like a very cool thing. And I don't mean that in like a dated sense. It's just I'm in a weird bubble, and I was in like I might not necessarily know who that is, but I take this as a sign that you have great experience within that realm, or at least it feels like it. It feels like you know what you're talking about. So anyway, yeah, thanks for hanging out. Yes, we did. Totally. I remember that now. Boom. White Swan says, when the audio right frequency app got white from the App Store, I knew it must have been good. You can go on YouTube and go to the Spooky 2 Rife channel. And if you want to listen to the audio frequencies, there's tons of them on there. And the sad part is they sound horrible. And I don't mean because they don't work, because they do work, but the audio version of Rife, while it will also have it can have a profound effect on you, you guys. It's just chaotic to receive in the human ear because it's like all these tones, and some of them are squealy, and some of it's weird sounds, and it just for some people it can be hard to receive. But if you're willing to allow it, it can definitely have a profound effect. So they even sell a thing that allows you to transform the frequencies into audio. I'm pretty sure they do. But anyway, totally. What's up? Cosmic Origin. What's going on? Cosmic Origins and Ascension Diaries, as everyone knows here. You guys are going to be, we're all going to be hanging out in Sedona, Arizona, December 11th through 16th for Starseed Adventures. You guys already know this. I know everyone's been hanging out, so you're like, oh God, he's mentioning it again. But I will, I'm just going to keep on mentioning it over the coming weeks. And that's because I'm hoping that there's going to be some people who will receive that late year assignment, that late year mission, where this opening will show up in your life and you're going to be like, you know what, for some reason, I realize that I'm going to go, suddenly head out there to Sedona and hang out with a bunch of weirdos at this strange social gathering, conference, tour, vacation event thing that they're going to all be at, because for some reason I feel like I need to be there. There are literally going to be a few people that are just like, I don't know, I feel like I should go to this. So if you're one of those people, go to starseedadventures.com and please do join us. I'm definitely actually going to be hanging out, which is rare that I actually hang out at events, because usually all I do, you guys, and I know Aurora Diamond Heart knows this, probably Cosmic Origins as well. At every event, all I ever do is all I ever do is do sessions with people. Literally, that's the only thing that we do, is just work on people over and over again, which is actually beautiful. It's a really positive thing. It's literally what I'm there to do. But I know for a fact that at this event, at Starseed Adventures this time, there's other stuff planned where we're just going to be hanging out, and we're going to do like a meditation or a talk. I think Aurora Diamond Heart is going to be as well. Ascension Diaries and also Cosmic Origins. So you guys have a number of people from the Starseed Adventures crew here. For better or worse, you got a number of people that are going to be at this strange gathering. So anyway, please do come hang out with us if you can. Some of you will get the assignment. It's like an assignment. It's like a mission that you'll go on when you go to these events with people. It's literally like a mission. And it's not that it's like this war mission. It's not like you have to overcome something. Although at times you will literally go to some weird social event and you will have to overcome some energy, usually within yourself. You know what I mean? Everyone that goes to one of these social gatherings, you'll have a resurgence of a number of social wounds as soon as you arrive. All these bubbles of energy will rise up in your body and you'll get all these feelings. You'll be like, I don't know, I shouldn't even be here. Why am I doing this? I don't know why I'm here. I don't belong here. You'll get all these weird feelings, and then you'll work through that. And then this weird thing happens at some point after that, between then and when you leave, that you start to somehow randomly, organically hang out with people, and you end up meeting a bunch of random weirdos that you're like, whoa, where have you been all my life? How do I not know you? And yet I do know you. And that's where you meet people that are your soul family, and you realize that there's this weird group of people who come back to earth over and over and over again. And what do? We meet up and we do this weird human thing. And every now and then, sometimes every few years, sometimes multiple times in the year, you'll gather together with the other people that are going through those same processes, that are going through the same journey. And it's, you'll just notice how everyone's changing and, evolving, and some people are degrading and some people are dark and some people are light. And you'll see the way like that sort of soul group advances over the years. And anyway, not to make it too big of a thing, but I've noticed that a number of us within the multidimensional community, it's a thing that a lot of us do. And you'll notice over the years that, people will show up, and it's been a really beautiful organic process. And so there's a mini version of that happening in Sedona. And so, but it's definitely a cool thing. And then hopefully, I don't know, maybe I shouldn't say it, but I heard there's going to be I think it's the Family of Light Gathering 2023. I hear that's going to come back. For those that don't know what it is, it was also probably one of the other most organically fun events that took place that Jason Alexis put on. I believe it was I want to say it was July, but you guys did it, so you're going to know the date. I'm horrible with dates. But there's also going to be other opportunities as well, because I know they're going to do a thing next year at some point. And who knows? Who knows? I'm still waiting to see if they'll let me into Conscious Life Expo, which who knows? Maybe they will. Maybe they will. We were there in 2020, which was a great year, man. Let me tell you, the pre-COVID, like, conference scene, back when back when everything was simpler and more confused, you know what I mean? We were there in 2020, and it was brilliant. It was amazing, incredible experience. It was an honor to get to speak there and be a part of it. And I say that as a person that fully understands it's a pay to play operation. You know what I mean? But yeah, who knows? Maybe if a strange twist of fate occurs, we might be at Conscious Life Expo. But maybe I shouldn't say that, because then it doesn't happen. You know what I mean? But you never know. Anyway, thanks for hanging out, everybody. We're definitely keeping it weird. Anyway, maybe I shouldn't say that you guys are doing another event. I guess that's because I hope that you're doing it. Because you know how sometimes people will like drop something that's, technically not even true, but everybody will just jump on it like it is true. And we've all seen how fun and awkward that can be, right? But anyway, yeah, Conscious Life Expo is a battle. I do believe I think that is where we, one of the places where we all hung out in the early days. I think you mentioned that in an earlier comment as well. But yeah, anyway, who knows? Who knows what the future may hold? I guess one of the questions is, and maybe you guys can also, if you guys have questions about this before we get out of here, is what do you guys believe the future may hold just in terms of the rest of this year? And I know that's a big question to ask people in the chat. We'll talk about that a little bit before we get out of here. But we're nearly through October. And, I guess if there was going to be one of those so-called October surprises, it doesn't look like we've had too much of a big unveiling, too much of a big overturning right now. And so we don't know what is coming next. But, let me know in the chat if you can before we roll out of here. What do you guys foresee, if anything, coming in the coming months? Because we got a few months left of 2022. In the slow stranglehold of control structures and parasitic world events and international money laundering, military operations, and just all the madness that's going on. Yeah, let me know what you guys are thinking. What's up, Dolores Faso Brum? Thank you as well. Thanks for rolling through this strange neighborhood. You have to kind of like, probably like wade through a bunch of weird multi-dimensional swamps and like back roads, before you get to the weird, awkward edge of town where things start to look a little bit run down, but there's a certain type of character where it's like, it's a little bit run down, but you're like, whoa, it's also really cool and somehow functional. And that's right around the time when you find the multi-dimensional trailer park. It's going to be right around there. That feels like a dumb thing to say, but no, but seriously, that's kind of how it works. That's why nobody knows we're out here. We can do whatever we want. When all the wallflowers come together, we create a pretty awesome garden. I feel you. That's why I say come to Starseed Adventures and dissociate publicly with me. We just sit there and like, huh? What? That's what we'll be doing. Yes. Yeah, I realize that is, right? It was Conscious Life Expo. That's honestly that's one of the best conferences to go to in the entire country, you guys. Absolutely one of the best ones. What's going on, Libby? My first Halakea crater, 2-day hike through the Quapo Gap. Whoa, where was that? It was in 1986. Whoa, that's rad. Okay, Halley's Comet. I do remember that. I remember that. I remember the Halley's Comet days. That was a really big deal. I was very young during that, but thank you for mentioning that. The Halley's Comet was a really big deal, you guys, in the kind of, I guess, 1986. It was a big deal. It was all over the news, or at least in my child world, I acknowledged Halley's Comet as being a big deal. I do feel like there was a number of stages. Maybe it was one time, I don't know. I feel like there was one night in particular where my whole family got up and I was a little kid, and I think my dad took me outside to see something that I didn't really like remember. Yeah, I was like, what? Okay. That's kind of what I recall from Halley's Comet. But I do remember Hale Bop. For those of you guys that were around in the 90s, maybe you remember Hale Bop. And the heavens gate cult story that happened with that as well. That was a fun one. That was really cool. That was at a very chaotic stage in my life. When the Hale Bop comment was going through, there was a comment of pure insanity rolling through my world. And I remember there was a series, I think it felt like it was about a month or so, where you could see that thing in the sky. Maybe it was just a week, so forgive me, those of you guys that have a better memory than I do. But it felt like there was an extended period of time in the early 90s when this Hale Bopp comet rolled through, and it was like you could just look up and like see that thing rolling through the sky, like this weird little curvy thing. It was a very cool thing. And granted, at that stage of my life, I was in such a state of utter chaos that I could not possibly acknowledge the realm of spirit. But I remember looking up and going like that means something. I realized that means something, but I was not equipped with any level of knowledge or consciousness to understand anything about it. And it's not to say that I do now either. Seriously, not to say that I do now. I just acknowledge that with those appearances and those, I guess I will call them heavenly bodies that kind of roll through, they also bring with them, great waves of changes, great waves of departures, alterations in timelines. Sometimes they bring with it knowledge, sometimes they bring with it, and it sounds cheesy, but it's literally real, like literal multidimensional particles that will sort of, sprinkle over areas of the population or certain planets. And it will have this, it's like, I know this sounds dumb, but it's like adding a little bit of a certain type of spice that can fundamentally alter our journey. Another example we had with that, which everybody knows about this one, Oumuamua, which was a big deal for those of us in the secret space program, Space War family around that time as well. Oumuamua was huge. Oumuamua is another example of, I think, whether you want to call it a craft or, and I think a lot of the comments that roll through are, their craft as well. You know what I mean? From another spectrum of light, it's going to be a ship, and it can also be, a planet and a ship and many things together at the same time. But Oumuamua, I think, brought through with it not only knowledge within the third density realm of just the irregularity of its presence, but it also brought with it, I think, a collective uncovering of frequencies or strands or elements, kind of like the little building blocks within our DNA as we go through parts of the awakening journey. I think Oumuamua brought with it almost like another veil or a layer of activation. And to me, it was a really big deal. Somebody in yeah, there it is. What's up? Mason Strunk says, Oumuamua was a herald. I absolutely agree. What was it the herald of? Is the question. What do you think it was the herald of, Mason Strunk, and anybody else? It definitely brought something. It signaled something. I remember hearing the fun story about how some people in the SSP went out there and they actually boarded it. Honestly, that definitely, well, in my opinion, that checks out as something real that actually took place. I think that there have also been many others. I would even go so far as to say there have been notable situations like that just this very year, in which certain things, we could maybe even, I think at times, like planetoids or certain types of just very large heavenly bodies, or just things that exist within space, have come very close to our Earth, I think, over the past year. And I think it's been something that, maybe we'll talk more about in the future. Maybe it's Matthew viewing something in a, in his own weird way, but it feels like there's going to be a number of those. If I wanted to put it like maybe I shouldn't say this, but I will. Sometimes I do kind of try to look at like not date ranges, but chunks of time in terms of what sort of energy might be cooking up or be sort of being placed within what we would call a multidimensional time stream. And I think, if you go into, a meditation and ask to be shown that, you might see something that does look a little bit like, like a grid or a map that can go in many different directions. But what I believe we can do is we can at times look at, places that might lie ahead. If you were looking at your path, the one that you're on right now, and granted that could change at any time, but if you will look at what I call a path, you'll notice that, there's sort of places within the energy in front of you that go down, some go up, some have different feelings, some have, certain interactions. And I think if I were to make a prediction in terms of when we could expect some form of, just activity, we'll just say activity, because that's a very broad, brush. And, multidimensional events, as we've seen within the, the last year, can take place in many different levels. And it'll be something both physical and also non-physical, and they don't always have to relate to one another. But I would say before March of 2023, that many of us on the earth plane will have one of those moments where we're like, what? We're going to have one of those, what? Oh, hell no, or hell yes. We don't know what it is. I think that a lot of the energy that was kind of designed to either launch or drop or be implemented, or sometimes we could even say, explode out onto the world scene, I think that was destined for 2022 has been held off, because I think a lot of decisions are still being made in terms of, if you watch regular news, if there's going to be a nuclear war, or if there's going to be this, or, World War III, which, I mean, not that anyone has asked, but if you did ask, well, Matthew, what do you think? Is there going to be World War III? I kind of don't see it, which famous last words, but I know other people, and maybe I feel safe saying that now because I've heard other people say it. But when I first looked into this thing, I was like, I don't know. It looks like it's planned. It looks like it's part of the furthering of this great narrative and the shift in the way that, certain worldwide events are literally planned out in advance. And there's this entire thing is scripted. And one of the things I don't think is necessarily scripted right now is what we would call a World War III event. But I do believe that there are part of, if you want to call them families that are literally running or think they're running the activity of the social, political, events on Earth. I believe that one of the things they want to do right now is they want to create a nuclear war with our collective consciousness, meaning that they're willing to do anything that they can to hold off the eventuality of this continuing timeline shift in which the balance of power on Earth changes. And one of the greatest ways in which they're going to be able to avoid that timeline, which is the eventual demise of a number of control structures on Earth in favor of what some people call, which is a big new age buzzword, a new Earth scenario, which means many things. But, one of the things that they're doing in order to avoid that eventual thing, which is an eventuality, it's going to happen one way or another. It's one of the things that everyone knows they were talking about when they were looking at the looking glass technology and things like, I think another one was like the yellow book, or the other people called it the yellow box. And they were able to view the many timelines and events and the possibilities. Everyone knew it was eventually going to change, but certain things they can do to block that is, they can trick humanity into co-creating a nuclear war. And so the reality is, I guess, if enough of us agree on Earth, if enough people on Earth agree that we're going to have a nuclear war, I guess we'll have one. However, it's also weirder, you guys, and I know we're going on an epic rant here, so thanks for hanging out, but it's also weirder because as far as I can tell, and granted, while I am a person who has had many extraterrestrial experiences, I do not necessarily believe that I'm one of those people who's like constantly checking in with the galactics and, like they're saying this, because the reality is I think they're going to be saying something different based on who every individual is and based on your own individual path. But when I do look at what I believe to be, if you want to call it an extraterrestrial presence that could be guiding, or at least very on some level playing a role in human development, it does also kind of look like we might be in a stage on Earth where certain powers just won't let it happen, meaning that we could come into a scenario in which maybe the co-creative consciousness on Earth gets hijacked to such an event that suddenly World War III is going to happen, that, while there would still be some sort of an event that would take place here on Earth, it would not play out the way that we thought it would. Kind of like the idea that I think it was, a lot of people talk about how, which is a very fun one to kind of kick around. The idea that CERN caused the end of the world in, what was it, 2012 or something like that. And what instead happened is we just clipped over into another version of reality. I think that sometimes there are worldwide events, not that saying that I believe in that, but I think there are worldwide events that will take place that it's not like the aliens are going to come down and, like a TR-3B and, zap the nuke as it's flying through the air. It's not that that will happen. It's not that that's an action that will even take place. It's that certain elements of a collective timeline will get canceled and edited. And it's like a little, a part of the video will get just cut out and it just skips forward. And some people will retain a phantom memory of that. Some people will have knowledge of a worldwide event that happened, and yet it did not happen. And yet it did. It's been edited from the timeline. I think that when we talk about the possibility of an extraterrestrial intervention when it comes to, the forces of war on Earth, that it will be through a timeline edit, not through a, suddenly everybody made up, and I do think that with it will come certain elements of chaos. I think, when I go back to the idea of, what do we think is going to happen in the first quarter of, 2023, what I do think, one thing that will definitely still be in place is a scenario of endless war, or the preparation for a scenario that will continue to further some form of permanent warlike activity and operation on Earth. Like, that's going to be a standard issue experience. It has been for many years. So a lot of people are like, well, obviously, dude. But I think we're coming to the stage when we say what's happening in the coming months is that we're looking for it's like a permanent installation of an all the time 24-hour war involving many, many more places on Earth. Does that mean World War III, nuclear war, end of the world type stuff? I don't believe so. Once again, I just don't think that that's going to happen. But what I do think is that, on a lower level, they'll trick the collective consciousness into accepting this, timeline of constant war. Now, who knows how that's actually going to turn out? I honestly don't know. That's just kind of what it looks like. But I don't know. I don't think a nuke is going to blow up. Maybe you guys can tell me. What do you think? Thanks for your comments, you guys, by the way. I appreciate it. Omar says, November elections will do it. Dems know it, so they will fake an alien invasion and suspend elections, causing civil war. Okay, I have heard this as well. A lot of people talk about it. A lot of people talk about it. I'm going to be 100% real, and some of you guys will cringe and be mad at me. I hope to God that they do a fake alien invention. I really, I pray for that to be the thing that happens. If there's what we would call a black swan event or a worldwide rut-row, something like that they're going to pull, God, please let it be the alien invasion. Please let it be the alien invasion. And I say that facetiously, humorously, sarcastically, and also seriously, all at the same time. Because, yeah, it'll be problematic. It will lead to just all kinds of stuff. But to me, the idea that, they would roll that out as that's the thing, not only does it mean that they're horribly desperate, it's like a Hail Mary, like, damn, bring out the aliens. Everything else failed, bro. Drop the aliens. And, so those guys will roll in, which will signal, late stage, I think, activity in terms of uncovering and hidden knowledge. And if you want to say disclosure, there it would be, right? But I think that that's kind of unlikely. That's the problem. I want to say that it's like, I believe that'll happen. And maybe I should say that. Maybe I should say, I believe that it'll happen and that'll help that timeline. Not saying that's the best case scenario, right? Because I guess if you want to get technical, it's not a best case scenario. It would be an exciting movie reality that we get, right? Like everybody, I mean, imagine that, you guys, imagine. And, granted, people like us that are hanging out here will be like, oh, dude, it's the fake alien invasion. And, maybe we won't. Maybe the blue beam technology is so powerful that myself here, I'll be like, you guys, this is it. Here we go. Boom, get on the ships. Maybe some of us will get taken in by it. Maybe myself, maybe some of you guys in the chat will be like, it's it. Here they are, the Anshar, the blue avians. We're going home. Everyone's going to be like, we're going home. It's fine. Some of us are going to get taken in. You know what I mean? And who knows? Maybe it'll be the real version of that, which if you think about it, that's really funny because who knows? I could very easily be one of those people. I think that we all could, but I would like to think that those of us that are here, if that does happen, we'll be like, oh, hell yeah, okay, alien invasion, fake, we can turn it into like a party, you know what I mean? Which also, is, not to say that we would take joy in the demise and confusion of other people, you know what I mean? I'm not trying to say that we would do that, but I think it would definitely be the most amusing version of it. And I think for a lot of us, we know that it would be coming. So I like to say that all of us here, I'm sure Omar wouldn't. Omar definitely wouldn't. He'll be like, dude, what the hell is this shit? You know what I mean? I always want to say that, I'll totally see it. And I think a lot of us believe that until the day comes when we're the one that doesn't. And I'm not putting that on the timeline for anyone. I just know that I've had a number of those experiences, a number of them, which is awkward. I think sometimes it's like it kind of raises the stakes when you're a professional intuitive, and you'll make a judgment call on something and you'll just be fundamentally wrong. And I have had that experience many times, and every single time it's been a good ego check. Every single time it's been an experience where I have to realize, oh, okay. Every time I try to put myself out there and make a big, I know what it is, boom, it's this. You know what I mean? Every time I try to flex, in some way, there's a weird thing that'll happen. This happens for a lot of people who I think are professional intuitives. If you try to flex in a weird way, it's like spirit will come along and they'll go, oh yeah? Oh, really? Okay. And then suddenly it's like you'll totally come out with the wrong conclusion and the wrong thing. And you'll have to go through the process of, oh, damn. Oh, okay. All right. I was wrong. Oh, okay, good. It's like spirit has to give you a false positive so you know what a negative is, which, if you want to get technical, and I know we're going on many twists and turns here today, guys. If you want to get technical, and if you're analyzing timelines through things like tarot, that would be the appearance of the high priestess. If you're trying to understand tarot, that's a high priestess moment. The high priestess will show up in your readings when you're going through an initiation of your intuition and your consciousness, but she doesn't do it through ceremonies and, inner earth, like visits and like, beautiful rituals. It doesn't happen like that. They'll give you some weird shit that you have to decode in your life, and you will have nothing to trust but your intuition. You will have no other direction other than just, well, you know what? I really, really feel, and I just know that it's that right there. And the path of the high priestess is she'll give you that specifically so you can be wrong, specifically so you can then learn how to self-edit and to correct yourself. It's like teaching you about the human polygraph system, and when we get positives and false positives and inconclusives. And the way I'm articulating it here, you guys, is, maybe it's really awkward and weird, but you're going to be able to pick up what I'm saying. Which I guess we were talking about earlier with developing discernment in the body, working with your solar plexus, working with your triple warmer. There was another one that I was going to mention. Sorry to bring that back in, everybody. But the navel chakra in the chakra body, if you were wondering, is there a place on my body that I could work with or move energy through that would help me improve my ability to check this out, seriously, appropriately respond to the world. Appropriate response, to the world. You will work with your navel chakra, which, if you want to get technical, is kind of bi-directional. It moves through the body, and in the back, the navel chakra, I believe the navel chakra either turns into or sort of moves its energy through another an additional, it's a chakra on the body, right in your lower back above the sacrum. Honestly, it's kind of opposite the belly button on the other side. And that's your Mingmen chakra, which is one of those intricate little places on the energy body that you can work with to help change like all kinds of stuff in the body. Sometimes it can be intense to work with, but if you want to develop your ability to, excuse me as I drool on myself here. If you want to develop your ability to appropriately respond, navel chakra. And sorry to go on such an anatomical rant, guys. It happens all the time. But for the sake of completeness, and this will be something we'll talk about in the chakra class for anyone that for anyone that wants to join us on November 6th, head over and join our chakra class. The navel chakra is in somewhat of a partnership, kind of like meridians have partners. They come in pairs. Navel chakra joins with third eye. And so as you learn to respond differently to energetic stimulus through the energy that moves through the navel chakra, it passes up, directly interacts with the third eye. So you're able to visually perceive, or what we call gain greater visual acuity toward the possibilities that exist within the mind's eye, which I know is a lot. I know that's a lot of words there, but it will directly affect your ability to not only respond, but to be able to perceive the possibilities that are in front of you. It's a fascinating thing. Sometimes I feel overly apologetic because I will talk like in great detail about the way I perceive the energy body. But some people do enjoy it. So if you're one of those people, thank you. That's also not to say that I'm unconditionally correct, because there's so many, oh man, there's so many things over the past few years where I'm like, whoa, I can't believe I thought that was that and this was this. There's so many times in which you're going to change your understandings of how the energy centers operate, especially the meridians. Oh my God, there's so much. There's like, oh, you guys, it's like lifetimes and lifetimes. And it's like, as soon as you barely figure out where each one is, it's like you realize that there's like a million layers and all these branches, and like internal branches, and just places where they join and connect. And it's mind-blowing. And I think for some people it's a thing that, how there's some areas of the world that people are into, and you look at it and you're like, whoa, that doesn't even make sense. It doesn't even register. Like for some people it won't even register, and you'll be like, yeah, I don't know what that is. But for those that can devote themselves to it, I think it's kind of part of like that sort of the path of the mystery school education, where we learn to understand the non-physical mystical arts. And I think one of the best ways to do it is to study your internal anatomy, the non-physical energetic anatomy, which the cool thing is everybody has it. And granted, while you can't put your finger on the heart chakra, you know what I mean? It's not going to be there when you open up somebody's body. We can learn to understand the feelings, and at times the colors, if you want to get technical, although the colors I don't necessarily place great reliance upon, which we'll talk about that more probably in the class and stuff. Otherwise we'll be here for 3 hours again. But the color spectrum is very important, I think, when you're perceiving energy internally, but it's not necessarily a thing that you can rely on, meaning that as you will go through a meditation, you will experience within the mind's eye, as you learn to open the third eye, you'll experience many shifts and balance of color, tones, and hues that pass through. And a lot of people will often feel as if, and myself included, and many times you'll be right, that as you experience maybe that like an indigo or purplish color, that you will be within the frequency of the third eye, which you certainly can be. But you will find that each one of the chakras in and of itself can be tinged or just added to many other layers of colors. And it's like the ways in which we identify the basic color spectrum in the body, while it does have to do with kind of the conscious light spectrum, it also has to do with kind of what I would call the outer edges of the chakras themselves, meaning that in generality, when I would look at what I call like the outer edges of a chakra, and a lot of you guys will perceive it like a wheel or a round shape or a funnel, or this sort of like moving, undulating mass of cloud-like energy that will exist in certain areas of the body. It shows up in many different forms. But I think it is very generally correct that as you do begin to perceive them, there is a generalized color spectrum. And in general, the root chakra does tend to be hues of red. The sacral chakra does tend to be hues of yellow and orange, but check it out, at the same time, also has a very blue element. In fact, if you ever want to try to mess with working with color in your body and sending color frequencies, you can send energy down to your sacral chakra and just try see what happens when you begin to experiment with imagining or sending or placing a blue energy within the sacral chakra. And a lot of you guys already know this, but there's a literal flame that exists within that area of the body, the flame that lights all others. And there's many different what we would call primordial flames, but the basis of, it's why we call the Patreon group the Blue Flame Collective, because one of the key experiences that I had early on in this journey was with a literal, one of the loudest telepathic transmissions I've ever experienced in this life. And it was an energy that identified itself as the keepers of the blue flame. And it sounds like a fairy tale statement when I say it. You're like, oh, that's cool. That sounds like a fun spiritual movie. But it was literally a thing that happened to me on a Sunday morning as I was just doing some stretching in my house. And it was like my body shook and this thing came in, and it was, we are the keepers of the blue flame. And what I was shown at that time was a literal blue flame within the sacral chakra. And they showed me that where we were at the stage of that journey, or maybe where I was and the people that we were working with, was that it was right at the bottom of the flame, the part of the flame that lights all others. It moves upward into a number of different colors from that point forward. Excuse me as I awkwardly wipe my nose on this live stream. Every now and then there's a lot of energy that rolls through and my nose will start running in a really awkward way. But yeah, you'll notice there's definitely a blue energy in that crazy sacral chakra. And likewise through other areas, solar plexus. I have noticed it as being somewhat of like a yellow kind of color. When I look at it, it looks like more olive at times, and it starts to transition upward. It almost feels like solar plexus carries the colors of every other kind of spectrum, or like wavelength rather, in the body, meaning it's sort of like a turbine or a swirl of all of those colors. And so I think that's one of the reasons why it kind of shows up as yellow, because it's carrying a lot of the lower chakra energy upward. It gets expanded and ignited through the sacral chakra. And so as it's moving up through the navel and everything else, it starts to get greenish in general as we get to the heart. And then from there, we move through shades of like, blue and kind of silvery energy and indigo, and right up to the crown, which for some people is wild, because for the crown, for some people it's pink, for some people it's silver, some people it's gold. I do believe in general, if you want to go into color spectrum stuff, that there is a stage as you reach outside, or you kind of move your conscious awareness outside of the human body. There is a stage, I think, where all of the color spectrum is entirely gold. I do believe that seems to contain every one of like the known kind of colors, at least that we're able to visually perceive as humans. I think that the final step does look to be kind of like a goldish platinum color. But I also say that because maybe that's as far as my conscious awareness has been able to perceive. Sometimes, you know what I mean? Sometimes that's just my own limitation that thinks that. Some of you guys will think differently. You'll be like, there's a billion other colors. But I've noticed at a certain stage, everything seems to coalesce into this sort of like, and it's funny because I think Eric Rains was talking about this years ago, the golden frequency. At a certain stage, it becomes all of them together. And when that stage or that wavelength shows up in a visual way, it's usually gold. I could be wrong. Other people are going to know more. But anyway, I'm getting majorly congested, so maybe that's a sign. But thanks for hanging out, everybody, and thank you for your questions. We're going to be here for, I think, just a few more minutes. What's up, Alyssa Marie? Good to see you. Thanks for rolling through. I appreciate you being here. Yeah, thank you, White Swan. That's how I perceive it at this time. Totally. It is kind of there you go. Liquid golden light. That's it. That's for real. There was a period of time where we were working. I say we by just me and other people I know. We're working very directly, consciously with golden light. And I think that if you're looking for something like a color wavelength that you would use in energy work, and when I say use, I mean it's sometimes it's as simple as literally just imagining that you're sending this color into your body or another person's. It doesn't have to be a very, particular technique in which you do it. Just you placing your conscious awareness in a certain place in a certain form or fashion is going to create that as a form of reality. We've seen that already demonstrated very, very well in our reality. And so you can simply just imagine it. But golden light, I believe, is one of the things that, just the use of it will help. It will help in more ways than we can know. And so anyway, not to go on and on, but use it. Use it if you can. Mason Strunk says, I want a whole episode. Magrathea, the world creation space. Wow. Okay, Mason Strunk. This is the first time that I have ever heard of this very thing that you are talking about right now. And so I pray to God that maybe I'll have an experience in Magrathea, the world creation space, and I can come back and tell everybody about it. I mean, seriously, I would love. Honestly, that's the first time I have ever heard that word. Every day you learn something new, you guys. Every day. You know what I mean? Just as soon as you think you know what things are in this world, literally someone will show up and be like, what about this? Boom. And you're like, oh damn, all right. That happened with me and one of the people that we had on our show a while back. For some of you guys, you saw the episode with Kevon Fair. He was definitely one of those people that rolls through and they're like, here, let me just give you this thing right here. Have you seen this? Boom. And you're like, it's, yeah, definitely. And so yeah, thank you for giving it a name though, Mason. There is a place that thank you for reminding me. Sorry it's going on so long today, you guys. It was only going to be an hour and here we are. But yes, thank you for reminding me. That is a very, very real thing. I'm glad that you were able to give it a name, or that is a construct that already exists. Okay, cool. It's from the Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. I remember having that book, but I only ever watched the movie. And I hear the movie is very, very poor in relation to the book. But I really enjoyed the movie, which probably is, horrible to say as a person that might have really enjoyed the book. But anyway, all that said, yes, that is definitely a thing. When you guys have heard this before, and she's on our channel, her video is buried a little ways back. But when I was doing dedicated work with Henda, some of you guys will know her on Facebook as well, but there was one of the most vivid experiences I've had was visiting what I believe a space in which planets were being created, worlds were being created. And the way that I viewed it was that we came down on this massive gargantuan structure, like a circle, like this sphere. And in the middle of it was it was like a molten planet being formed in many different ways. It was both with sound, with light, with like there was streams of energy that were moving in. It sounds really cheesy, but it was literally like a factory where some sort of, elemental galactic force was forming planets and worlds. And from what I recall, there was one that was being formed and it was in like a molten form. And I think and sometimes I think that there's a chance that we can recreate elements of something. So it's like I like to be upfront about that. Like, we will misremember certain things. But I do believe that within that space, there was another structure that had some work on it. And it was like inside the planet was sort of like, it was like levels. There was like levels to it. But I can't say that it was like, it's almost as if it was like a form of scaffolding, if you want to call it that, which probably sounds really lame. But it was as if there was a partially scaffolded kind of planetoid that, if I want to call it, from what I recall from that, it was like upward and to the right from my field of view. And so anyway, I do think that if it does represent a real space, and I do believe that there's a great chance that it does, but I also know that one of the experiences we have when we're moving outside of the body is that we have to go through what some people call like simulated realms of energy, or places that are like pocket dimensions that are created by our consciousness. And so some of those pocket dimensions will greatly reflect real places in the world, but it won't be the actual real version of that. And then sometimes you will actually go to a place that is an actual other realm. There's many different variations of it. And so I honestly can't tell you if I was within, a simulated realm or if I was really there, but I can tell you that there were many consciousnesses and many beings. I can remember the sort of railing that was there. And it's almost like it's not like I was walking, but it's like you're kind of like floating and viewing it. And I also saw a number of other domed worlds during that experience. One I was kind of dropped off in, which I believe, if you do want to talk about entering somewhat of a simulated bubble realm, I feel like that was a place that I was purposely dropped off at one point, just so I could have the experience of realizing, like, oh, okay, this is like a bubble like contained realm space. And it was literally a very small domed world, like one that you would imagine in a city. Like, I don't know, I imagine like one in Los Angeles where there's a section of a couple city blocks where they've just domed over this like wildlife structure and environment. And there was a stage where it was like I was kind of dropped off inside of one of those. To be honest with you, I don't necessarily remember what happened in there. I would like to say like, oh, and I met some beings and like, this and this happened. I honestly don't remember, but I remember seeing the dome. I remember going into it. I remember looking around going, oh, okay, I'm being dropped off. I'm going in this. Okay. It was like an agreement of a thing. Um, and then I believe after that was when we went to go view, well, I believe also, I guess since we're going on extended story time today, guys, thank you. From there, I believe I ended up finding what I believe was somewhat. See, you can tell my language will become uncertain as I describe this, but there was an additional experience where I actually was able to bring what I believe was my consciousness through something like an actual wormhole, which is weird, but it was literally like a wormhole, and I was literally flying through an actual, kind of like a wormhole, and I had to become conscious of my body and become conscious that I kind of didn't have one, but that I was within some form of a conscious vehicle, but it was kind of like a body, and I came out on the other side of it. And there was almost like it sounds kind of silly, but if you guys remember I'm trying to give you an example. You can literally look at the left eye and you'll get a bit of an internalized experience of it. But I would say a rough example would be kind of at the end of the never ending story. For those of you guys that have seen that movie, there's a part where the kid meets with that girl. I can't remember her name or the being, whatever it was. She was like the supreme being of, like the never ending story realm. And there's a stage where all the fragments of that I guess because I can't remember the name of it, like the Middle Earth realm that they were in was like broken up into all these pieces and they were like floating through space. And just to give you a visual example of what I'm talking about, it was like I came out of this weird wormhole thing and there was like a structure or a building with a big arch and like this big circular thing that was in front of it, kind of like, and this is why well, it was literally a portal, but it was like I came out into this suspended within space structure. There was a building over to the right of the structure. Some of you guys will pick it up in the energy that I'm sending out, but there was like a curved structure that went off to the right that had a number of what looked like dwelling spaces or doorways or something off to the right, and just a little bit to the left was a very large circular kind of opening, and I could see that there was like a twisting and an alteration of the energy within it. But the awkward thing is, and this is why I often wonder if this was something like a simulated realm when I went into that bubble, maybe this is what happened or one of the things that happened as a result of that. But as I approached, this kind of gigantic portal thing to the left and this building of structures. I would say it's 2 stories, and the upper level was shorter than the top level, so that there was like a railing on the upper level. And underneath were all of these open doorways. They did not have doors, they were just open doorways. Kind of like, like those Egyptian temples that open into the side of the mountain. Or they're not Egyptian. I think they're in Jordan, but or one of those countries. but there's a temple that opens up into the side of the into the building there, and there was just doorways that were in there. And as I approached into this realm, and maybe it was a simulated realm, because it's very much as if like your consciousness is sort of floating, and I'm observing with great detail this experience, and I mean great detail, which is one of the signs as you guys are learning to move outside of the human body. It's like there will be a different level of detail. It's one of the things that you'll look for when you're gauging whether or not you're actually kind of moving through space or you're moving through your own internal consciousness. Awkward thing is they're both the same. But anyway, there's a stage in which something becomes almost realer than real. And it's as if you are able to perceive more details than you are able to consciously explain or vocalize. But what I perceived as I moved through this space, kind of like if I were to call it, it's like you're drifting in water and I'm moving through this space. And what I saw on the right side in these openings of these buildings it was as if energy came out like a silhouette of a being, but I can't say that it was a human. It was like a literal, maybe we could say that it appeared sort of like a shadow being or something like that, but not in a negative sense, because I don't want to give it a negative connotation, but it was as if a shadow like being stuck its head out of the doorway of one of those little dwellings and looked, and it was noticing me. And underneath it, like down, like waist level, was another little head, almost like a little being, saw also stuck its head out. There was two of them that as I entered this space, I was able to see like, whoa, okay, there's something here. This is actually a real place. This is actually real. Or in my mind, I was acknowledging whether it was or it wasn't is another thing, but I was acknowledging this is a thing that's happening now. Okay. Um, and what ended up happening, long story short, is that I did go through what I believe was that portal. I wish I could tell you what happened on the other side. I wish I could say I went to some other world and I went to the LOC and whatever. But honestly, I don't know what happened as I went through it. But I acknowledged almost like it was as if it was a test for me, because it was like there was a voice and this encouragement that was within me that was like, you can do it, you can do it, you can do it. And I think one of the things that in hindsight pulled me out of that out of body state is that it's like I felt very emotional about it. It was like one of those moments where you're like, I can do it, and it's like, the tears, and you're like, I'm doing it. And I think, in hindsight, if there was a moment in which, sorry, as my nose is running here on our live stream, but if there was a moment where I began to diverge from that moment and come into my body, it was there. It was as I went through this sort of gateway. And so who knows? Who knows what was on the other side of it? Multi-dimensional version of me, probably, who knows? Maybe we're in the secret space program. No, I'm being sarcastic, but I don't know what happened on the other side of it. But there was like a voice and an energy of encouragement that it was like it was proud of me, which is a weird thing to say. It was like, yes, you can do it. And so anyway, went through a portal. sounds like a cheesy wrap up, but I went through a portal after entering a domed world, after going on an out of body experience where I was shown the creation of planets. Try showing up at work on Tuesday and going anyway, or on Monday, and like, so what did you do this weekend? Oh, I just went on this out of body trip, watched the planet get created, just went through this portal, saw a weird shadow being. It was not a thing that I was really equipped to talk about, but I will say I'm very, really, really grateful that I had Annora at that stage of my life, and I could be like, oh my God, I felt this thing, I experienced this. And she has many of her own experiences in her own way, and she, luckily she can receive that. But there was a long period of my life when certain things like that would happen, and there was nobody I could tell. Nobody would believe me. It's just like, oh, really? You met an alien? Really? Right here in our house? Oh, okay. Cool. All right. And it's like, it doesn't always go over well with some people, but anyway, one of the ways you can start to learn how to move outside your body is through the crown chakra, through focusing on sometimes the back of your head. There's a legitimate astral cord that connects your physical body to what we call the dream body or the astral body, and it can be in different places from what I can tell. Maybe some people have a different idea about it, but it can be either in the back of your head, like the back of your neck, there's a cord. Other people have one that's in the belly button. Some people have one that comes out of like the back, the center of your back. I think there's other places, probably the heart as well. Although I can't say that that's necessarily been one that I've been told, but I have observed that. Oh yeah, no, definitely within the back. There's also what we call the assemblage point, which is literally real. Um, I think the assemblage point applies to what some people would call like an outer template or an outer field, like one of the outer reaches of the human energy body. It doesn't necessarily interact with things like your chakras or, the meridians. It's like more what we would call the multidimensional container that you're existing in. So, maybe on some level we could say the auric field, if you want. If you want to go there, maybe the auric field. But anyway, the assemblage point. Here's the fun thing. I know we're lingering a long time today, you guys, but some of you guys will feel the assemblage point in your back as I'm talking about it. And it can be in a number of places, but it tends to be, kind of around mid-level in your body. It tends to be, maybe around the tips of your shoulder blades, or sometimes a little bit higher, and who knows, maybe a bit lower, but probably not. You'll kind of feel this little node or a nodule or a place within your energy field. And it might be a little bit to the right, it might be a little bit to the center, it might be a little bit to the left. Mine definitely goes over to the left side more, right behind the left shoulder blade. But it's an energy opening on the human energy field that you can learn to move and alter and expand. Some people believe that as you learn to expand your assemblage point and change the position of it, it can be one of the tools that dramatically, maybe even literally alters your specific point in reality. Meaning that some people believe that, as you move the assemblage point, you can move instantly through many versions of yourself, many timelines, many versions of realities. Maybe we could imagine it a little bit like picking up the needle on the record in the middle of a song and suddenly dropping it on another one, but in the same place, just another song, you know what I mean? And it's like you'll skip over to another version of reality. But anyway, just kind of going on and on about energy anatomy, and I'm super congested. So, really quickly, before we roll out of here, we had 3 winners today. Valerie Smith won a scholarship to all 3 of our classes. I think she's already been in the chat, so she knows. But Kelly Dolan and Trevor Ohm, you guys are also the winners of a spot in the chakra class. And so, I hope you guys can find me out there. I'm going to look through our records and see if I have a contact for you. If I don't, though, please, I pray that you'll find us on YouTube and send me an email at rememberyourmission.com so we can get you the link for the class as it's starting on November 6th. And so anybody else that wants to join it, you already know this. I've said it a million times. You can go to rememberyourmission.com. You can send me an email if you want to join and you can't afford it. We'll figure out a way to get you in. And then also this Saturday, once again, last time, I promise, this Saturday at 4 p.m. Eastern, we're going to be meeting in the Patreon group with Annora. So that's Patreon at Blue Flame Collective. And she's going to be doing readings. And so that is, it is, I'll say it again, it's a paid event. You will pay $10 to come in. Don't worry, you can cancel right afterward. Or you can come back next month. But yeah, you will definitely get a reading, especially with Annora. I'm just going to do a quick meditation in the beginning and sort of greet everybody and bring everybody in. We are going to do a little bit of a meditation in the beginning. I kind of call it just to open doors for spirit. It's going to be short, though, so don't worry. It's not like an hour-long thing, I promise, which is always what I say. I promise it'll be really short. It's going to be this super short thing. But it will definitely be, because otherwise Annora will get annoyed. But so we're going to do very, very short attunement in the beginning. And then she's just going to take it away and do readings for everybody. So anyway, you can tell I'm like majorly congested. It's kind of weird. But thank you for hanging out, everybody. Thank you to our winners. Yes, I promise we're doing another giveaway in the coming weeks. It'll be for a session, though. It's going to be for sessions. And so put your multi-dimensional kind of feelers out there for you to, maybe you will win the next one. And so in the meantime, thank you for hanging out, everybody. Just real quick, we'll go through your comments on the way out of here. Put your tongue on the roof of your upper palate. Totally, absolutely. You can engage your third eye. You can move energy upward and engage the infrastructure of the causal chakras and even meridian points. Even there it is, the Talu chakra. Some people call it Talu chakra underneath the soft palate. It's definitely a thing. Man, yeah, it's deeply, deeply fascinating. All of those weird areas in the non-physical body. Yep, we're at the office now. Thank you. Anyway, you guys can tell it's like massive congestion zone now, which seems to happen on these every now and then. But yeah, thank you, everybody. Thanks for hanging out. Boom. Black Swan says 6 billion Earth-like planets. I absolutely... probably 6 trillion Earth-like planets, I would imagine. I think one of the experiences we get to have in this human journey is, in your dream time awareness, you're connecting with the versions of you on other Earths, literally other Earths. Totally. There are other versions of you on other planets. And I don't even mean like the multi-dimensional time realm. I mean, there's literal other Earths and other humans doing normal lives, and they might be at a forward or, behind us in terms of linear time, but they're literally out there. Thoughts on Oumuamua? Totally, dude. It was literally it was an actual real craft. Some people think Oumuamua itself was alive, that it had a conscience to it. Although mostly deactivated and in a very, very limited state of transmission, it was still, I believe, at one time a conscient or sentient vessel that traveled the cosmos. I think many, many different beings all over time and worked with it, inhabited it, lived in it, came in and out. I think many civilizations kind of hitched a ride on it. I think many civilizations were affected by it. I think every time Oumuamua drives through the multi-dimensional neighborhood, something is gonna go off. You know what I mean? Some shit's gonna go down, dude. Oumuamua is in town. What? You know what I mean? I'm not trying to be silly, but seriously, it definitely has an effect. I can't wait for the next one. That's what I'm hoping for. What's going to be the next Oumuamua? Will it be the fake alien invasion? Will it be the fall of America? That's a scary one. Or is it? Boom. You know what I mean? What will it actually be? I guess we're going to find out in the coming months. In the meantime, everybody, please do join us this Saturday if you feel called. And I'm pretty sure next Saturday we'll be back with another live. Who knows? Maybe we'll come back on Wednesday. In the meantime, continue to develop your discernment. Don't give your power away to false prophets and leaders and, weird false light beings that want you to sign up to their timeline and their version of the future. Create your own modalities. Learn the energetic anatomy within your body, and I guess most importantly, hang out and really heal the inner child. Acknowledge that inner child realm, because really, like when you're doing energy work and you're really working in the the non-physical realms, you are literally within the realm of your childhood imagination. So bring that back into your life the best you can. And anyway, I'm getting weird at the end here. I love you guys. Thanks for hanging out, and we will be back in the very near future. Please like and subscribe on your way out. If you didn't subscribe yet, do it and click that little like thing before you roll out of here. I love you guys. We'll be back soon. Stay out of trouble. Boom.